thank you for being here.
Yeah,
a very, very busy time still once we've gotten through this whole impeachment issue.
Yeah, so it took the Democrats a year and into this year to get done with the impeachment. And so now the House is kind of still focusing back on things that we should have done over the last year. One of the things that has to occur and will be marked up this week is the reauthorization of the FISA court, which is obviously very controversial on both sides of the aisle because obviously Republicans have a lot of issues with the fact that it was the FISA court that had authorized all these warrants to spy on the Trump campaign. And there was a lot of things that the FBI was not honest about. There was actually 17 different instances that the IG had found that the FBI had either lied or misrepresented or failed to tell them the whole truth to get those warrants to spy. So there's people on both sides of the aisle that have a lot of concerns. You know, it's a court that a lot of people think, why do we have a secret court? But when you understand that what we have to do to protect our nation's secrets and to protect those people who are protecting us, our methods and sources, I think it's important that we have some avenue that is in a classified setting to authorize oversight and surveillance of people in our country.
And it has to be done super secret because if there is complete transparency for all this kind of stuff, that's where the bad guys get open inside information.
Not only that, they'd know who our operators are in the world, and it would put at risk our CIA operatives, our FBI operatives, and so we can't have that. One of the things I think we do need to do to reform the court is to put a third party, if you will, to be a Fourth Amendment kind of check on the process.
An ombudsman.
Right, yeah. Somebody that just says, look, from a Fourth Amendment perspective, that we've protected the Fourth Amendment, and this is appropriate given the circumstances.
Let's pump the brakes on this before we go headline into big policy change.
Yeah, I think we'll have to look at this week.
We got to take a quick break right here. I want to hear about some more of the things that are going on in D.C., but we will be right back with Congressman Greg Steube here at the Big Gray Table as ABC 7 at 7 continues. And welcome back into ABC 7 at 7:30 as we continue our conversation with Congressman Greg Steube here at the Big Gray Table again. There's a lot going on in the world around us that Congress has got to keep its eye on, including what has been something we can't get away of reporting about, coronavirus. Has that been something that's a point of discussion and consideration?
One of the things I think the administration has done a great job is advising members of Congress. So they'll have folks from NIH, National Institute of Health, they'll have folks from the different departments come in and update Congress on what's going on with that. We've had at least 3 briefings. We tend to have one just about every week. We're in Washington to update us on what the administration is doing to prevent it from coming to our shores. One of the things you've seen private companies do, which I'm very happy to see, Delta stopped flights very shortly after. A lot of your private companies, even though it was to their financial detriment, stopped flights from the areas that the virus was coming from. So it's one of those things where we're monitoring. I think the administration is obviously going to do everything within their power to ensure that we don't have an outbreak here in the United States.
But at this point, from what you're understanding from the CDC, from the experts there, nothing that we have to be overly concerned about here on our shores.
Correct. Yep.
That is good news. You hearing a lot of questions about that? You getting a lot of people asking you about what we're doing from a national standpoint?
Some, not as much as you would think, because I think, you know, shows like yourself and others do a good job of telling the public what's going on with that and the latest. There are places in the world, you know, Italy has just recently had an outbreak. They're still trying to figure out where it even came from. And so I don't think we have those type of issues here in the United States. The great thing about Homeland Security and CDC and these other departments is they can shut down things if something pops and they feel like they need to shut down travel in and out of the country at a port of entry or in an airport or whatever the case may be. So I feel confident that our administration is doing what they can to protect Americans.
And to do that, there would have to be, you know, a spool up of expenditures. There's been word that there would be that emergency funding declaration or question coming this week as well. So that's definitely something.
Yeah, and if there was something like that, Congress would act quickly and fund whatever that may be.
That's one of those deals that Congress can turn on.
Well, there's buckets already that is appropriated for things like this that come up that they can tap into, but if they need more, they can come to Congress, and that can be done very quickly.
I know every time you come by, we talk about Veterans Affairs. You obviously have an affinity for those who have served, being as though that's the same boat that you're in. What is new on the horizon as far as what vets are expecting?
We just filed one bill, and I'll tell you quickly about one we're in the process of filing. There was an issue with DOD and the agency telling service members that they could not have trademarked, privately purchased religious insignia on their dog tags, and I just didn't think that was appropriate. Regardless of your faith, whether you're Jewish, Muslim, or Christian, and you want to put the insignia or scripture on your dog tags, I think that service members who fight for our freedoms, and one of those freedoms is their freedom of religion, should have the ability to assert whatever their religious views are on the thing that is closest to you, your dog tags that are required to be on you at all times. So we filed a bill that would parlay that DOD directive and make it clear that service members, regardless of your faith, could put whatever insignia in. And this isn't something that the government is giving to them. This is something they are purchasing on their own from trademarked organizations that they can put it on their dog tags. When I deployed to Iraq, my father had given me a small cross that he drilled a hole in the top of. I kept that on my dog tags. I think that members should be able to express their faith. They fight for our freedoms. And so that's one of the bills that we just recently dropped.
It's sort of like, it's the old separation of church and state, I get, but it's kind of a First Amendment.
Well, it's a personal thing. I mean, your dog tags as a service member, you're required to wear it at all times, especially in a combat deployed environment. And that's a very personal thing. And for us as a government to tell you you can't express your faith that way, I think is wrong.
Almost like saying, no, you can't have that tattoo.
Right.
That wouldn't go very far. Good stuff. Last year, we had a brief glimpse of you on the mound playing in the congressional baseball game. That's every April, I guess they have that?
Yep, this year it's June. Well, it's June.
Oh, it's
this
June,
year it's
okay.
June 10th, so any of your viewers can watch it on C-SPAN. The game starts at 7 or 7:30, I believe. Practice for us starts this March, and if you remember one of the shootings that occurred a couple years ago when Representative Scalise got shot.
A lot of your teammates.
Practices, yeah. It's been interesting to get to know some of these other members of Congress who were there that day and hear the stories from different vantage points on the field that day, and thankful and thank God that nobody died except the shooter that day, and there's staff and members of Congress that are still here to tell the story.
But you were on the mound this past year, or at least for the beginning of the game.
Yeah. For most
how did that go? How was your experience?
Well, I thought I did okay. We need to improve the defense behind me this year. When you have a lot of unforced errors, if you looked at the earned runs, we would have won if defense didn't have so many errors. So hopefully this year we'll have a defense that doesn't make mistakes. And if we don't make mistakes, and we hit the ball. I mean, I think we scored 8 or 9 runs last year. So offensively, I think we're fine. It's just making sure that the defense behind us locks it up. So hopefully I'll be starting on the mound again, and it's very enjoyable for me. It's great for, I mean, last year 22,000 people came to the game, and we play at Nat Stadium where now they're the World Series champions. So
I know.
It's very cool to be on the mound where the champs have been.
Well, it's good to talk about this now that it is baseball season here on the Sun Coast. The spring training games picking up this past weekend. Of course, the teams being here for the next month or so. As you head back to D.C., though, still plenty of work to do. What's the biggest thing that's going to be coming out of D.C. for us here on the Sun Coast?
One of the things that I've been working on for a year now, and we should be filing this bill into this month, sometime in March, is giving veterans the ability to choose their health care options. So if you're over 30% service-connected disabled, you would get TRICARE for life, and you would have the choice, like true choice. So we're building on the Mission Act from last Congress that the President signed. But if you live in a district like mine, in a rural area in, say, Okeechobee County or Highlands County, and it's a 3-4 hour drive to Bay Pines, you would have the choice. You would get TRICARE for life. You could go to a provider in your own community, a doctor in your own community, to get the health care that you deserve. We're hoping to drop that bill in the next month or so. And so those are the things I think it's very important that our veterans get what they fought for and get the type of health care they deserve.
One thing you just mentioned there, and I think a lot of people may not completely understand it, is the district that you do serve is very geographically diverse.
I think it's the largest geographic district in Florida. I have 9 counties. I go from South Polk County and Bartow all the way down to North Lee County and Lehigh Acres. I go from coastline, Sarasota and Charlotte, all the way to the Palm Beach County line. So I have Polk, Hardy, DeSoto, Highlands, Glades, Okeechobee, all of Charlotte, half of Sarasota, and northern Lee County. So geographically, to get to all these different counties to do the type of outreach that we want to do is a challenge.
And on that note, I want to give our folks at home a chance to think about that. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, some final thoughts with our guest, Representative Greg Steube, right here on ABC 7 at 7. Greg Steube, and joining us at the Big Gray Table, we talked a little bit about, right before we went to break, how big your congressional district is. And one of the things that you find is that a lot of different issues may be different in the various parts of your district, but one that is a big deal for everybody is still veterans. And that leads us to, you're talking about a project that you're doing in conjunction with Library of Congress.
Yeah, and we have probably one of the largest concentration of veterans of any district in the country. So being a veteran, I like to focus on those issues, not just because I'm a veteran myself, but because we have a large concentration of veterans. So something the Library of Congress has been doing for years has been allowing veterans to tell their story. They call it the Veterans History Project. And so I've arranged for the Library of Congress to come down to Charlotte County on March 19th. We're going to be sending out a lot of press about this and sending out emails and stuff on Facebook and a mail piece and all that.
It's only a couple of weeks away, so
yeah.
I mean, you're looking at 3 weeks or so.
But I want to encourage any of your viewers to come. It's an opportunity. What the Library of Congress does is they want to hear and catalog every veteran's story, where they served, what they did, wherever it was, and they'll videotape you. And I've done it myself. You can probably go online to the Library of Congress's website and listen to mine. I just want to encourage veterans to tell their story, to come down. It's March 19th in Charlotte County, meet with the Library of Congress, sign up to be able to do it. We're going to make time, and the Library of Congress is actually coming down and sending people down to do that. So I think it's important for our nation's history to memorialize these things, and what better way to do it than to sit across the table from a veteran with a camera and just let him tell his story.
And it's powerful not only from the aspect of cataloging this, but also it's kind of cathartic to tell that story. It then becomes real again to you.
Yeah, and it's emotional for a lot of service members.
Yeah.
But I think it's not just important for the history of our country. It's not just important for the Library of Congress, but their family. You know, their great-grandkids will be able to go online and watch them tell their story of what they did in the service of our country, and I think that's important. So I would encourage any of your viewers that are interested in doing that to contact our office.
Awesome. Very good note to end it on. Greg Steube, thank you for spending some time with us.
Thanks for having me.
Good luck, Godspeed, back to D.C.
Always fun.